Have empty lines, 15 minutes left. Feel free to call in. And in the meantime, I'm going to resort to reading old blog posts of mine. We have a persistent commenter on our blog, that's atheistexperience.blogspot.com, who keeps reading Bible verses to us. I mean, you know, in a typical post, at least a third to a half of the actual text of the post will be quotes from the Bible.
And in addition to that, a good chunk of what's left is quotes from some other apologist.
Right.
I'm not convinced this guy's ever had an original thought of his own, but...
And, you know, we try to tell him, and this is a very common method of argumentation when it comes to atheists versus theists, and it's very annoying, and I always tell people, could you please stop doing that and just write what you think, because we don't care about your Bible quotes. And I often get a reaction like, hey, well, I will not stop reading Bible verses to you because you need to hear it, even if you're afraid of what the Bible has to say to you. And I can't help thinking that these people just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm not only not afraid of the Bible, I got one handy.
Yeah.
It's the best tool for atheism ever. I read it all the time. Well, not all the time, not while I'm talking to you.
But at the same time, most of the time when I see Bible quotes in a post, I just skip them. Yeah. I mean, because, you know, it's like, I've read this stuff, it's not that insightful, and I'm going to just, you know, skim that part and see whether this guy has a point.
Hey, you want to gamble?
What?
You want to gamble? Oh.
Oh, well, did you win?
No. But let's go and take this.
Wait, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the middle of something now.
Okay, do it.
But yeah, hang on there, Johnny. I said, think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to have a conversation with some guy who really loves Star Trek. Every time you try to discuss something with him, he suddenly perks up and babbles random Star Trek references. He'll say, you know, in episode 45/4211.4, Captain Kirk said, the only solution is a balance of power. We arm our side with exactly that much more. A balance of power. The trickiest, most difficult, dirtiest game of them all, but the only one that preserves both sides. Sometimes the Sometimes the Star Trek quotes make sense in context, and sometimes he just says things that seem to be a complete non sequitur. But he always quotes them with great significance, as if the words of Captain Kirk are the greatest pearls of wisdom that have ever been offered to the world. After a while, wouldn't you stop paying attention to what this guy says? I mean, not that there's anything particularly wrong with Star Trek, but it is, after all, a fictional story written by some guys in Hollywood trying to make a paycheck. That's what we think of your Bible. Now wait, you're about to argue with me and tell me why the Bible is the greatest book ever written. Shut up and listen. I'm sure there's an argument about why the Bible is important to you and why we should pay attention to it, but the important thing to realize is that we haven't accepted the Bible as true yet. Maybe you can change our minds, but you're never, ever, ever going to change our minds by quoting from the Bible. It's like trying to prove that Star Trek is true by quoting from Star Trek. It doesn't work. It's annoying. You're wasting both your time and ours. I mean it. In fact, let's henceforth refer to this as the Star Trek rule. And I'll try to remind you of it in future conversations to make sure it sinks in. The Star Trek rule is, before you quote the Bible to atheists, always ask yourself whether the same statement would be just as effective in your mind if you were quoting Captain Kirk instead. If the answer is yes, then you may be making a good point that people will listen to. If the answer is no, then you're probably trying to rely on the Bible as something that people will see as credible in its own right. And atheists, because we're blind to the merits of the Bible, will miss the point.